Hey everyone, I'm Michael with Land Elevated, and in this video we're going to talk about how to focus in on what you are planning to do with your land. So now that you've started to research some of the benefits of owning and developing your own land, we're going to review the next step of the process, and that's really planning what to do with your land. The best place to start is to look at the end game. Now, the options are endless, but this is where you get a chance to really have some fun, explore all the different options that are out there, and determine what will work best for you. So are you looking to buy land as an investment, wait for the value to appreciate, or are you looking to build a house or a cabin, live on the property full time, maybe rent it out, or maybe you're looking to develop the property and flip it for a profit? These are just a couple of options amongst many, and you could honestly deploy multiple of these strategies for the same property over an extended period of time. But the important point here is that you need to have the end game in mind from the beginning to help guide you in your search for the perfect property. So now that you've identified your end goal, let's work from there. Does your strategy require that you be within a certain proximity to a major city? Or maybe it's really dependent on the geography and the climate, being in the mountains or the desert, being waterfront or in the foothills, a lot of different options. There's a common saying in real estate that it's all about location, location, location. Now, if you're looking to build a yurt on a property and rent it out on Airbnb to people that are going to use it for backcountry skiing or snowboarding, then your location and climate are going to be really important. On the other hand, if you're looking to invest as a more speculative play and flip the land at a later date, ensuring that you are in a location that is in the projected path of growth will be really important. The more clarity that you can get around the location, the easier it'll be for you to find the right property. Next, you're going to consider what are some of the more important characteristics or attributes you need to be able to accomplish your goal. Does the property need to have paved access, or does it need to have public utilities like water or sewer, or maybe you're okay with having a well or a septic system, or maybe you don't need utilities at all. Each strategy will be different depending on what your goal is with the property and what's most important to you. So you might be asking, what are all these factors that I need to consider in making my decision? While we don't have all the answers, we have developed a checklist with some questions to ask yourself as you go through the process. And we also have included some blank fields that you can fill in other questions that we haven't thought of yet that might pertain to you and your strategy. So let's take a quick look at this checklist. So we have a couple sections here. We have a general section and the property characteristics section, and I'm going to run through this with you, each one line by line. So in the general section, the first one is the location, and it's a general location. So do you want to be in a rural or a suburban or an urban environment? And again, this is really just general. It's something that will kind of help you narrow down your focus a little bit later on. The next one is location specific. Now this, you may already have a city or a county or a state in mind that you want the property to be in, and if you don't, that's okay too. We work with a lot of investors or buyers that are not quite sure where they want to be, and they want to do some more research on the area before they fill out that information, so that's okay. The next one is the size, acreage, square footage. Now this doesn't need to be exact, but make an educated guess based on what your end game is. Does a property need to be over 40 acres, or maybe it only needs to be between 2 and 5 acres? Or maybe you're looking at an infill opportunity where you can just build a modest home and you need a 7,000 square foot lot. Whatever it is, take your best guess, fill out the size and the acreage square footage. Next is going to be the terrain. So desert, mountains, flat, hills, these are just some of the examples that you can fill in here, and it can be pretty generic, but again, this will help you a little bit later on. Next is the property use, and this is really important, and this should be pretty clearly answered by what your end game is. So are you looking to use the land for building, for camping and hiking, more recreational purposes, or as an investment? Give it your best shot to fill out that as clearly as possible. Last in the general section is the zoning, and the zoning is really important because it dictates exactly what you can and cannot do on the property. So it's always important to keep this top of mind, but for this checklist, just be very general. Residential, agricultural, commercial, maybe you're looking at industrial, whatever it is, try and fill out the zoning between one of those options. Now the section below that, we have our property characteristics section. And I'm going to kind of cruise through these sections here pretty quickly. So access, you're going to want to identify whether or not you need access at all. Maybe access isn't important to you. Maybe it is really important. Maybe you need a paved road. Maybe a dirt road is okay. So make sure that you identify, and you could just fill in a yes or a no, or you can type in a different answer. But this will just kind of help you focus in and narrow it down a little bit more. Next one are going to be the building types allowed. So you're going to want to select each and every building type that you are considering with your property. Maybe you're looking to build a single family home or a cabin, or you're not sure if you want to build a tiny home. Select each and every option that will apply. Next, we're going to look at camping on the property. Now, if you intend to camp on the property for any period of time, make sure you select this option. Certain municipalities have restrictions on camping on your own property. It can be restricted by time limits, or it can be restricted by the type of camping that you're doing, whether it's in a tent or in an RV. Make sure that you select that, and you can add some notes, comments in there as to what type of camping that you're planning on doing. Next, we're talking about farming on the property. So make sure you designate this if you plan to use the property for any agricultural purposes for any type of crop. Some areas have restrictions on what types of crops you can grow, and obviously certain climates are going to be more conducive to growing certain types of crops over others. Next is horses, livestock. Make sure that you know if you plan to have any horses or livestock on your property. Zoning will usually dictate what is allowed and how much land will be needed for livestock. Next is HOA and POA. An HOA is a homeowners association, or a POA is a property owners association. There's also a couple of other names for them out there, but make sure that if you have any strong feelings one way or another, whether the property is or is not in an HOA or POA, that you designate that there. Neighbors, this is a section where you can really just determine if you're looking for something that's completely secluded, no neighbors in sight, or if you're looking for something that's in a little bit more of an urban or suburban setting with your services and neighbors really close by. That'll kind of help you focus in your search a little bit later. Utilities. Now, utilities, you're going to want to go through and select all utilities that are really important to you. So you may be unsure at this point. Just take your best guess. If you're not really familiar with what some of your options are, definitely reach out to us. We're happy to provide you with a little bit more information on what's available out there. But take your best guess as to whether or not you're going to want public water or a well, or if you need water at all, or same thing with sewer, same thing with power. Being waterfront, and these are some characteristics where if you really want the property to be waterfront, if you're looking to use it, you want to be on a lake, or if you have an operation and you need a river or a stream, make sure that you notate that here on the list. Trees, we included this. We get a lot of questions about properties, whether or not they have trees. So if you're interested in a property that has trees, maybe it's for commercial purposes, for logging or timber rights, or maybe it's just the scenery. But that'll kind of help you to narrow down your focus as to what property will work best for you. Next are water rights and mineral rights. Now, water rights, if your end goal requires that you have a water right, make sure that you select this. I recommend that you select this if you are notating above that you would be okay with the property being on a well. Make sure that you select this because you want to make sure that there is a well right included with the property. Mineral rights, we'll have a couple videos later on with some other in-depth research on water rights and mineral rights. But if your end goal requires that you have mineral rights, make sure that you select that here. That's more so for like mining or oil extraction down the road. So that checklist was really designed to help you get started, and it by no means does it have everything that you should be considering. As you could see there, we had a section for other, so make sure you add any other items that are specific to you with your end goal. We recommend using the checklist to help you narrow down the search, again, focusing on what is most important per your end game. So now you've completed the checklist, you can see why it's so important to start with the end game and work from there. Whether you're planning to develop the property for your primary use, or rent it out, or flip it to another end user or investor, you now have a clearer picture on what you should be searching for. So now it's time to get out there, start looking at what's available, and the best place to start is, of course, landelevated.com. You can always reach us via email at sales@landelevated.com. That's SALES at landelevated.com. Thanks for watching. Again, this is Michael with Land Elevated. We'll see you next time.